Hello and welcome to the Dragon Den. I'm King of Dragons 5000 and today I have another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Jakks specific, the Echinda Warrior, Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie. First impressions getting Knuckles out of the box, he's quite an impressive figure and I really do like the size that he's bringing. Out of all the Sonic figures we've had a look at, Knuckles is going to be the biggest, and it is quite accurate. Unfortunately, just like with all the other characters, Knuckles does not come with any accessories. Having a look at his impressive details, Jakks Specific once again has done an amazing job with his fur and quills. The figure does a really good job of replicating what we saw in the trailers and is really accurate to the Knuckles model. Taking a look at the head sculpt, Knuckles here has a very impressive skull and I like his furrowed brow. He has these very nice violet eyes and once again they are behind a translucent piece of plastic. His snout is done in a peach color and you can see his nose is nicely painted. As we get to the quills, they are nicely detailed and I like the fur sculpt on them, however they are made of a really dense plastic. Overall, the shape of his head is quite accurate to what we see for Knuckles. Taking a look at his body, you can see that Knuckles has this very broad body compared to Sonic, Tails, and Shadow. Just like with his head, they did a really good job sculpting his fur throughout his body. And the white fur on his chest is nicely painted, although it is rather light. And he doesn't have any quills on his back, however you can still see his nicely sculpted tail. Knuckles' arms are going to be tubular, however they are going to be thicker than what we've seen in the past. They still carry over that impressive sculpt work, so his fur is still nicely detailed here. That fur sculpt continues all the way down to his glove cuffs, which are a separate piece and they're done in white plastic. And of course Knuckles is going to have his iconic gloves which look like mittens, and I really do like the fact that his knuckles are sculpted on perfectly. His legs, much like his arms, are going to be tubular, continuing that impressive fur sculpt. And I'll continue until we get to his boots, where the green part of his boot is a separate appliance. His boots are done in yellow and red paint, and they do look really good, and the sculpt work on them is fantastic. They even have the silver parts, which is sculpted really well, and the underside actually has some impressive sculpt work too. A very nice figure to look at, and the shade of red used for Knuckles is quite good, although I feel it could be a little more saturated. But I'm still blown away by the sculpt work and the accuracy of this figure, and it looks really good. With his paint and details out of the way, let's compare Knuckles to our usual suspects. Being listed as a 5-inch figure, Knuckles isn't going to scale perfectly to true 1/12 scale. Knuckles isn't going to be accurate to his size in the movie, but when you compare him to Sonic, Shadows, and Tails, he's going to be much taller than those three figures. Having a look at his articulation, Knuckles does have a ball joint in the neck, butterfly joints in his shoulders, arms go out to the side and do a full 360. He has a swivel in the bicep and a Figma style elbow joint, a hinge and swivel at his wrist, and he does have finger articulation. Knuckles is going to have a ball joint in his midsection. His legs do kick forward, go back, out to the side, and have a thigh swivel. Figma style joint in his knee, a hinge in the ankle, and forward-facing pin for rocker. So the articulation on Knuckles is going to be quite good, however, as you would expect, because of the way his quills are sculpted, he's going to have very limited head articulation. And the articulation on his arms is slightly hindered because of the quills, but it's not as bad as the neck. Overall, he still has some great articulation, and he still poses really nicely. So with everything said and done about the Sonic the Hedgehog 3's Knuckles, let's get him posed for my final thoughts. I've honestly been blown away by the amount of detail Jakks Pacific put into the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 figures, and Knuckles is no exception. Knuckles is one of my favorite characters from the Sonic franchise, and seeing him in action figure form is actually welcomed, and I really like what they did here. The sculpt work on Knuckles is spectacular, and every detail you would expect on him is actually there, from the way his quills look all the way down to his tail. Add to it the sculpted detail on the bottom of his boots wasn't necessary, but I am happy that Jakks did include it. Although I do feel there are some areas this figure could have been done better, especially with the paint on his chest could have been done a little more heavy-handed because it is rather light. And the main issue I have with this figure is the movement on his head, as his quills are made of this really dense plastic. They don't really articulate too well. It would have been nice to see his quills done in a softer plastic to allow better head articulation, however they did opt to go with the harder plastics here. But other than that, I still think that Knuckles is quite impressive, and you can still get him in some great poses, and one thing I absolutely love is that he looks perfect with Sonic and Tails. And because he is the Echinda Warrior, he is going to be taller than all three figures, and I really do like the fact that he is a much broader figure as well. If you are looking for Knuckles, he is part of the second wave of Sonic figures, and it does appear that Target is getting them first. If you don't have a Target in your area, Walmart will be getting this wave as well, but be patient and Knuckles will be easy to find. Before we wrap up this video, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching another video here on the Dragon Den. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Sonic videos. If you're in a position to help out the Dragon Den, check out my Patreon, where I have some exclusive content and early access videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my loyal Dragonites coming from the Dragon Den, I'm King of Dragons 5000, reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.